Welcome back, peeps. It's Jasmine, aka Jazzy Jet Sets, and you know I'm bringing you expat life in South Africa, travel, identity, and just about everything in between. So today's vlog is all about the final week of January 2024, which I'm sure you can agree has felt like 3 months in and of itself. So let's jump right into it. I'll do less of a voiceover of exactly what I'm doing in this vlog because I feel like most of the things that I'm doing, you've seen it already. I actually just want to use this time to talk a little bit about pursuing content creation. This is a topic that I have been seeing over the last few months more and more, and I'm assuming that's because a lot of people are pursuing content creation even more now, and a lot of people are very interested in it. So I just want to use this vlog, this video, to share some of my content creation gripes and the difficulties and challenges that come with it. And I would love to hear your thoughts as well. So I've been pursuing content creation full-time for about 2 years now. Many of you know that I was previously a corporate America girly. After my MBA, I went into consulting and I spent most of my time doing that for nonprofits and NGOs. And I actually got laid off at the end of 2022 from a nonprofit that I was working for in the US, and I took that as my sign to follow my dreams, follow my goals, and pursue content creation full time. I figured instead of going to find another job that I don't really want to do every single day, why not pursue this field, something I've been thinking about for the last few years. Knowing that it's not something that's easy to pursue, I know that it takes time, I know that it takes money. I had saved up money and I felt like, I'm tired of giving my time to jobs that basically drain me, stress me, cause me to lose hair. I can tell you some of the horror stories of my corporate America experience. I actually have worked in banking and consulting. Listen, it's crazy. So I felt like this was my opportunity. This was God giving me the opportunity to say, listen now, you you keep going back into corporate America. Why not try to do what it is that you are actually interested in and what might make you happy and money? So that is how I got into content creation. So one of the challenges that I have found is the time commitment that it takes, which is why I didn't pursue content creation before. There was absolutely no way I could be a consultant or a banker and pursue content creation and actually give it my all and actually like hone the craft the way that I felt like it needed to be focused on. So that was the first thing, the time commitment that it takes. And there's so much that is required when you think about practice and actually bettering yourself and sharpening your skills to make sure that you are really committed to the craft. Something as simple as the actual content that you're making, the way that you film it, the devices that you actually use to film it, the different angles that you think about, and the different ways that you try to be more unique in how you shoot certain content. I feel like one of the cool content creators that I follow that I really love and who does something that has always been unique, her name is Skylar Marseille or Marshai. She's a travel content creator, and I know that she has spent a ton of time honing her craft. Simply just that one element of it, which is how you actually shoot and making yourself stand out from others. So that's one thing. The other thing to think about that requires practice and time is editing. If you're not a person who is a videographer or a photographer, editing is not something that comes easy to you. So you spend so much time, so many hours editing. I know many people know the large content creator on TikTok, Monet, and she is one of the people who's talked about how much time she has spent doing editing, how much time editing takes. There's another content creator that I follow on YouTube and on TikTok. Her name is Aaliyah's Face. She also sometimes will talk about, she might have so much content for YouTube and for us, but doing the editing is what takes so much time. Now, these are people who are huge now and they have huge followings, and I think that they are pretty successful in the content creation space, so they can actually like hire editors, and I think that is what they have done. But when you're a smaller content creator, that is something that takes a significant amount of time. Something that I spend a lot of time on myself is these voiceovers. Most of my vlogs are voiced over and not really using the audio in real time when I'm filming it. So just recording these voiceovers takes a significant amount of time. Right now, we're just talking about time. So think about trying to do this while you have a 9 to 5. It's just really not as feasible. And I mean, yeah, maybe you can like be a maniac and you just don't sleep and that's how you do it. And some people actually do it. It's not to say that it can't be done, but I'm just saying practically, some real time is required. So another element of content creation that takes a lot of time is the administrative part. When you are trying to find brands that will work with someone who has your following, your level of engagement, your actual niche, the things that you're interested in, brands that will be a fit, brands that pay, finding people's email addresses to actually pitch to them in their emails. People are doing hundreds of pitches per day. That takes time. That takes writing skill to actually make a brand pay attention to you. Then think about the research that you have to do to find those brands, the research that you need to do on the type of content that you make or the niche that you have. The admin part of content creation takes a lot of time. Another thing that takes a lot of time that is admin is contracts that you draw up for brands or partners that you actually want to work with. Especially again, if you're a smaller content creator and you don't have a agency backing you or a manager, and you are really just like doing it on your own, figuring out what should be in a contract, understanding what contracts mean. So much time is put into content creation in so many different ways. So having a 9 to 5 makes it 10 times harder. Then doing it full time, you understand like, oh wow, I really need this 9 to 5 time slot to actually do everything that I need to do. One of the conversations that I've seen recently on Twitter is about how many of the content creators that are successful already have money. Like they're not super focused or worried about how to make it lucrative so soon because they probably come from money. They probably like already have money from their families. And I know that's not the case with everyone, but it does help to already have money so that it's not something that you're stressed about beforehand while you're actually trying to get things off the ground. Like I said, I've been doing this for a couple years and my numbers are still quite small. I'm at 5K on YouTube. I just hit 10K on TikTok. Hey, my Instagram, I haven't hit 4K on Instagram just yet. But then you see other content creators who are like, oh, I decided to take content creation seriously 3 months ago and now I'm at 1 million followers. Here's how I did it. So I'm really talking about those types of content creators that just like blow up so quickly overnight. It's lucrative. Everyone's like falling for them. The Alex Earls, of course, So it's just really thinking about also the financial element of like what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to be a travel content creator, you need some money to travel. And you need a lot of money to travel, especially if you are like trying to show luxury or trying to show like something very specific and niche. So I'm sure that's why you hear a lot of people talk about different side hustles as they are also content creators. So you'll see people who have talked about hosting travel experiences or hosting trips. That's another way to make money. Selling digital products. In this clip right here, I'm actually working on an ebook about relocating to South Africa. So many people ask me questions in all of my DMs about how did you move to South Africa? What did you do? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So I've decided I'm going to create this ebook so that people can purchase it and have a better idea of everything that they need to actually relocate purposefully if they are thinking about coming to South Africa for a short term or long period of time. Another interesting way that people are making money is through like Airbnb. We'll reach out to Airbnb hosts and say, hey, I can like get you some engagement and awareness on your Airbnb by posting it on my platforms, how beautiful it is, and they'll negotiate maybe a couple of days stay and a payment. Maybe it's just a stay, maybe it's just a payment. Literally, there are like different ways that people are doing side hustles to make money while they're also pursuing content creation in their own way. Not gonna lie, content creation was stressing me the F out. That's why you saw me sitting on the couch looking crazy like that. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. So, another challenge that I have been grappling with myself is the social aspect of content creation and how it shows up in different ways. So first, that means like thinking about it when you are just in a social setting, you're surrounded by professionals. Like I said, I have an MBA previously in consulting and banking. So I'm surrounded by people who are quite high level professionals in their field, in those fields and others. And I always find that I'm a little bit shaky when someone asks me what I do for a living and I have to just say content creation. I always preface it with like, yeah, but I came here doing consulting and I still do just some consulting on the side to make myself feel like it's more legitimate. Because if you just say that you're a content creator or a digital creator, people have an energy or a look, they'll look at you like, you know? So I feel like there's definitely a stigma around it in social settings. So aside from the actual profession, another element from a social setting is like just how the normal people in daily life receive it. So in 2022, I went to Zanzibar for Thanksgiving with one of my friends who is from the US, and he brought along two friends with him. We went to the Rock restaurant, which is that restaurant that is like in the middle of the water and it's like so beautiful. It's literally the coolest place. I have a video on the Rock on my page. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. And if you're going to Zanzibar, you should check it out. So I was there with them and I was taking a video, just like literally taking a video of the Rock. Like somebody was taking pictures of me standing just kind of like on the balcony because the water is behind you. And these two people who were sitting at a table above me were like staring at me and looking at me with such the nastiest look. It was crazy. So I said to my friends when I sat back down at the table, like, why is she looking at me like that? And the three of them all were just like, I mean, you really need to think about how content creators have impacted society and how people feel about them. Like, have you done any I mean, like the visceral that came with me sharing like, oh, you know, this person looked at me, I felt a little bit uncomfortable. They kind of like ate me up. They were like, you need to think about da 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 da. And that was the first time that I really thought like, oh wow, like people have serious feelings about it. And for whatever that reason might be, or whatever those feelings might be, it might be something as simple as like, you know, it feels exploitative, or it could be so many different things. I think for me, that was just like really jarring that, you know, I was expressing that someone made me uncomfortable while I'm like taking pictures at a restaurant where you usually would take pictures. It's a beautiful place, content creator or not. And then the people that I'm with, they just reacted in a way that like, well, you're a content creator. You should know that, blah, 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 blah. You need to go read some of the articles about, you know, like it. I just was like, wow, I wasn't really expecting that. So I thought that was very interesting. Another social element of content creation that I find to be challenging is in dating. Oh my gosh, guys. Dating as a person who is focused on content creation has so much of a stigma. First of all, I feel like people already don't believe it's legitimate still, even though we're in 2024, even though people like Monet have made it on the Forbes 30 under 30 list from content creation. People still have such a weird energy towards it. So I went on a date a couple weeks ago and it was like a pretty decent date. Like we drove to outside of Johannesburg to this area called Harties. And so it's very beautiful. The actual like location that we went to, the restaurant that we went to was a beautiful place. I'm talking with like fields of greenery. It was a gin tasting, things that are like really fun and that you would want to take content of. And I promise you, anytime I like pulled out my phone, and it's not like I was filming this person that I was with. I never do that because I feel like I would never invade someone's privacy. And anytime that I have my friends in my content, I kind of always tell them like, hey guys, do you care if I post this? This is going to be on my YouTube. So all the weddings that you see, the parties that you see where my friends are included, I always get their permission before I just post it on my YouTube. I'm with this guy. I'm on this date. It's a really nice date. And it is our first date. So I'm like, you know, getting some content content of the surroundings, the greenery, the beauty. I'm taking some content of the actual gin tasting. We had like 10 gins that we got to taste. It was really cool. And I feel like every time I pulled out my phone, he literally looked like he wanted to vomit. Like he looked so annoyed. And at one point I had to ask him like, do you have like a problem with me like taking some videos? He's like, I'm just not really used to it. I'm just not really used to like, and I feel like he was trying to be nice and say like, oh, I'm just not really used to it. It's just not my thing. But I feel like his energy was very much like, ew, like, why are you doing this? It's weird. Needless to say, there probably won't be a second date. But let's take a break from some of the woes of content creation and talk about some of the fun stuff. So last week I got an invitation to do a podcast on mindfulness, and the podcast is all about how mindfulness can be in different ways. So it doesn't always have to be yoga or exercise. It could also be something as simple as the music that you listen to, or the outfit that you put on that day, or picking up and leaving your country and moving across the world, which of course is what my episode is about. So I'm really excited. It's all about life in South Africa, how I love living in this country, and some of my experiences thus far. Here's a little snippet. Into the swing of things, but Joburg, it was like big city. Like I come from Jersey, so it's not the country, but it's not a huge city like New York, but it's right next to New York. I went to university in Atlanta, which I feel like Joburg really reminds me of. It's like a huge city. You're like, so living here after 4 years, it's like now I'm starting to understand it a bit more. But when you first hear it as a Black American, it's just very different connotation. It is.
But what do you think about our music?
I love South African music. I love South African music. So the Rethink Mindfulness podcast episode with me being featured, it has dropped. It's on my page and their page. Please go check out the full episode. This week, some of my friends from New York are visiting Johannesburg, which we love. I love when visitors from out of town come. So this is just me hanging out at the Airbnb. I actually stumbled upon this new like mobile hair company that comes to you with all the hair, whether it's human hair or synthetic hair. They do the braids that you want. Like literally, I'm so hyped to use them. I will be using them the next time I get my hair braided, because I think it's time for me to diversify my hair braiding services. So I'm actually really excited. I was so impressed that they brought the actual like hair holder that they're putting the hair on right now, because that means I don't have to pass the hair. Like this is a game changer for me. I just really had to record this and show you. And even if you look at their work, it looks phenomenal. So if you're in South Africa and you want mobile services, you want them to come to your home, they are who you should go to, honestly. It is hump day and we are back in the gym, obviously. But back to the topic at hand, I want to just take a second to say, I know in this video, it seems like I'm complaining a lot about content creation, and I don't want that to be the message that comes off in this video. I'm really just trying to share some of the challenges or not so fun things about content creation, because I feel like what people actually see is the glitz and glam, the fun things, and they don't really see or hear the perspective of the content creation journey that is not so fun. So I just want to make that very clear. This is not a complaint. I'm actually very happy and very blessed to be trying to pursue my dreams and go for things that I feel like align with who I am as a person and as a professional. So yeah, let's get back into some fun things about content creation, which brings me to this next part of the video. You're gonna love it. Come with me behind the scenes of a South African content creator. This is my boo Mpo. He has been a content creator for about 5 years now, and he was shooting some brand content and he asked me to be a part of it. And that's one of the really cool things about content creation as well. I feel like the people, the artists, they're like usually down to earth. So you always get an opportunity to see how they work, see what their creative process looks like, which I just love because it gives me the opportunity to actually learn. I haven't had the opportunity to work with South African brands just yet. I've worked with maybe one, but I'm really excited because I feel like working with him and seeing how he works, seeing some of the partners that he uses, like this person here as well. This person's name, I believe, is Jabu, and he is a photographer. He does a lot of work for content creators creators in South Africa as well. So I thought this was like such a fun day. I got to be behind the scenes to see how it's done exactly, what product placement looks like, making sure that you don't have any other like logos or brands in the shots that you're doing, thinking about how you're actually like setting up the space to actually get certain pictures and to get certain videos. It was literally so fun. So I decided to film some of the behind the scenes myself and just take a lot of pointers, honestly. So while they were setting up and getting everything together, I asked Mpo how he came up with the concept or like what he wanted to do for this brand shoot. And he basically just talked to me about the time that he put in. He talked about how he did a lot of research about like what it means to have like a clean space and a clean background whenever you're shooting certain things. He also talked about how he basically wrote down a bunch of notes and he wrote down his vision to kind of like help it come to life. So he was going over that a lot the night before, and he really just reiterated what I was saying at the beginning of this video about how much time it takes with content creation. And even in this behind the scenes, I can tell you the amount of times that we refilmed or they reshot or refilmed certain parts of the content, it was like 50,000 times, honestly. And then, of course, whenever you're working with brands, you have to send them your content before they actually approve it. So you want to make sure that you're providing them with your best shot that first go around so that they don't feel like they have to send it back to you and then you have to do a reshoot. Because one of the things that a lot of creators have talked to me about is having to do reshoots and how much they hate it. As you would imagine, it makes sense. Like, it takes a lot of time. As you can see, it's time for me to get on camera and do my co-star duties. Again, I had such a fun time like shooting this and getting into like my acting bag and just thinking about posture, thinking about what I'm saying, thinking about how I am using my body movements to be more natural than just like dramatic, which was really cool. And then we did a bunch of different like takes, different clips of us doing different things, just kind of like keying, of course. And like I said, this was my first time seeing a like proper shoot be done. My younger sister is also a content creator. Shout out to Kaniqua Monet. You need to follow her if you don't already. She has a lot of mommy and me content, a lot of lifestyle content, home and decor, stuff like that. So when I see her videos that go viral and get millions of views, they're always so beautiful, but I'm never really there with her whenever she's like setting up the actual background. So doing this with Mpo gave me the opportunity to really see how it's done. And it's also made me realize, okay, this is how I want to do my content. This is how I want to be more intentional whenever I'm thinking about brands that I want to pitch to and brands that I actually like want to do content for, especially if it's something like home or decor, if it's something like food or alcohol. Like, I'm really interested in lifestyle content creation. As you probably see from many of my videos, I'm always with friends. I'm always in social settings. I'm always maybe like cheersing or toasting to some like great element of life. So for me, being able to like think about how I would do my content and think about the types of brands that I'm into. Mostly I'm really interested in like those lifestyle brands, those alcohol brands. I'm just like really excited to have been a part of this shoot this day and to see like, okay, I see what the possibilities look like. It also gave me the chance to see how much work goes into shooting something whenever you start thinking about how much you charge brands for, and you think about the contracts that you are drawing up for brands. So you think about like usage rights. You think about one of the things that my sister always says is that the brand is not paying her to get them customers. The brand is really paying her for her time that it takes to actually create a fantastic ad or a piece of content. And when you have not really done it for a brand just yet, you might not understand. But I feel like after working with Mpo on this day, I was like, okay, now I see exactly what she's talking about, because the amount of time that like we were doing this for some hours. We really wanted to get different perspectives and different POVs of the content that we were taking. So we were just shooting from a bunch of different angles. And like I said, that allowed me to learn a lot about the content creation process and what good quality work looks like. as well as the number of takes that you need to do to make sure you can get the best out of it. Anyways, it was a great experience, and he walked away with some really good content, and then we had pasta and wine after. And on the rest of this video will be my weekend vlog. So I told you that my New York friends were in town, so the weekend kind of started early. This is actually just Wednesday. Fun fact, we actually met these guys, or I'll say I actually met these guys randomly in South Africa while they were visiting one year. They do a trip every year and they've been coming for years to SA. They literally love it. I feel like they're kind of citizens by now. And I became friends with them on that first trip. And literally now, anytime we're in the same country, when I go back home to New Jersey, I make sure I visit them in New York. Like, we've literally become lifelong friends. It's crazy. So Wednesday we had family dinner. Then Thursday we ended up going to First Thursdays, which is at the Keys Art Mile in Rosebank. And we got to see some really beautiful art. I will definitely say that. We checked out a few of the galleries. Always a vibe. Always some dope art and artists that you discover whenever you go to First Thursdays. Then we also decided to eat while we were there. We ate at BGR, which is the burger spot that is very similar to Five Guys in America, in my opinion. And man, that place was packed. We waited for our food for 30 minutes. It was kind of ridiculous. Anyway, it's Thursday. So afterwards we went to La Parada so that we could go to Strictly Soul. As you know, Strictly Soul is the R&B only party, and I love this party. I feel like I always discover new DJs at Strictly Soul that I fall in love with, so I love it. My friends, however, were not happy. They were like, Jasmine, you know we came to SA for Amapiano. Why would you bring us to an R&B party? What's your problem? So they enjoyed the vibes, but they were looking for something very specific, so we ended up leaving a bit early. We went to Bryanston and headed to Rockets, and that was way more of their vibe. Of course, as soon as we walked in there and they heard that I'm a piano, they were very happy. Every time typically that they go to Rockets, they have a great time. I would say that's the case for me as well, but this was a Thursday, and I guess Thursdays are just not the day for Rockets, so it was quite empty, but the DJ was fire as usual. Totally not surprised by that. I feel like Rockets always has a great DJ. And while we were there, we had a great time. We were partying with another group, which I feel like Swinky was there. It was just a few of the who's who of Johannesburg, so I thought that was very interesting. My friends come into town and then boom, now I'm partying with these people who I don't typically party with. Then of course it was time to hit the next spot, so we ended up going to room 130 with Swinky and the crew. So everyone was just really hype. Mind you, it is Wednesday night now. At this point I think it's probably 3 a.m. Thursday morning. No one is, look at this no one is letting up, okay? The vibes were still going. Everyone was having a great time, and it was literally the craziest night that I've had it since 2024 started. And then Friday came and it was time for the homies to fly out, so they wanted to have their final dinner at Saint. Of course, it's Friday. That's the best place to go anyway. We all obliged. We did not get any footage from dinner, but this is most important.
Motherfuckers, this was an amazing trip. By far, the best SA trip we've ever taken. Shout out to everybody over here. The final shot.
Sent them off with shots. They actually went straight to the airport, and then for some reason, Saint was just really popping that night. Then on Saturday, I got invited to brunch. I was joining two of my friends who were joining a larger group of people that I did not know. We went to Station 12 in Bryanston, and it was so cool. It was an old school R&B vibe. This was our welcome drinks, and it was a 275 Rand special for bottomless mimosas. So we had so many shots and way too many mimosas, and I ended up learning how to play this card game, Crazy Eights, and it's very similar to Uno, I believe, but it's not as intense as 30 seconds. Either way, your girl won a round, so shout out to me, and I'm really getting my SA bag. The really cool thing about this day is that I only had one friend there that I knew before, and our group grew to like 10 people, and I was just hanging out with these 9 other strangers for the entire day and night, and I had such a great time. You get a lot of questions about if it's easy to make friends when you move abroad, and I feel like Johannesburg is a great city because you can meet so many people and just really easily make friends. Like, I literally made friends my first weekend moving here, and I'm still making friends until today. Of course, at the end of the night, we went to Jameli because we were feeling mixy, and yeah, that was my weekend. I have to give myself a little shout out for my 10K on TikTok. If you don't follow me there yet, please follow me now. It gets a little more ratchet on that side, as you would imagine. Also, last but not least, the ebook Relocating with Purpose, Moving to South Africa Short or Long Term. It's here. The link is in my bio. And thanks so much for watching my video.